Hey y'all, Jamie here. Proud 55-year-old trans woman from New Orleans. So, where last I left off? Well, I'm going to get back to story time today, y'all. If you are just now seeing me and you don't know why I've been gone for a few months, go see yesterday's video. As for today, back to story time. When I last left off several months ago, my parents had put me in a place called DePaul's Hospital. It was a mental institution slash drug rehabilitation facility. And listen, I stabbed a boy in the leg. He was terrorizing me. He kept pestering me and pestering me and pestering me until I finally reached the breaking point. And I did. I stabbed him in the leg with a pencil, just straight down into his leg like I was staking a vampire. And I got hauled upstairs to the adult psychiatric ward, and I was taken into a padded room where they strapped me down, 5-point restraints, shot me up with Thorazine, and left me in there for 6 hours by myself in the dark, high on Thorazine, strapped down. That's not an experience you forget, y'all. Like, that's one that you tend to remember for the rest of your days. And they put me on what they called zone. After they let me out of there, they kept me on the adult floor and they put me on what they called zone. Here I am 13. And they put me on this thing called zone, and it was a 7-foot by 8-foot square mapped out on the floor in the hallway that was taped off. Sorry, I'm getting a little out of breath. And I had to stay inside that square. And if I wanted anything, if I wanted out to go to the bathroom, I had to ask for permission. And I was assigned one staff member per shift. And if they didn't want to deal with me, y'all, they didn't have to. They could totally ignore me and nobody said a word about it. So I stayed there for 14 days. 14 days in that hallway. And I was next to another man who had eaten an entire sheet of LSD, paper acid, blotter acid. He had eaten an entire sheet when the police were chasing him, and so his brain was fried. And I had to put up with him all day long, like flapping his head back and forth and hitting himself in the head and arguing with people that weren't there. There was someone else up there that thought they were Tina Turner. Like, I don't know what it is with mental institutions and the Tina Turner impersonators, but there seems to always be one. Just seems to always be one. So, yeah. After 14 days, though, my psychiatrist decided that I didn't need to be on the adult rehabilitation program anymore for drugs. He put me over in the adolescent psychiatric ward, that was across the street, and it was in an old building that was painted in institutional green. It looked like, if you've ever seen American Horror Story, Asylum, it was very that. Like, it was very that. Steel doors that clanged shut like you were in jail. You were locked in your room whenever they felt like it, and they would just lock you in there and walk away and leave you in there for as long as they felt like. If you acted up or acted like it bothered you in any way, shape, or form, honey, they would shoot you up with Thorazine just as soon as look at you. So, if you wanted to get high, sure, but if you were trying to live your life, no, that's not what you wanted to do. Not what you wanted to do. So, there was also no smoking allowed in there, and I was a smoker back in those days at 13, I know, but I was, and there was no smoking for the young adults in that part. There had been in the young adult drug program. But, at any rate, I had to go without. And I stayed up there for like another 3 weeks. Altogether, I was in DePaul's Hospital like 2.5 months. Okay? And then my psychiatrist had a meeting. The insurance had run out. Insurance was running out. And my psychiatrist had a meeting with my dad, my stepmother, and my mother came into town. Yeah, old Satanica Demonica herself, my mother. She showed up, and they had a meeting, and the psychiatrist told them that my problems, meaning all of this, me being who I am, that I was so disturbed that in order to reach me, he felt that I needed to be kept in the state psychiatric hospital called up in Mandeville, in the North Shore in Louisiana, and that I should be kept there for 5 years until my 18th birthday. My stepmother was all for it. Oh, Gail was all for it. And I don't want to go too deep off into Gail today because, look, she recently passed away, and I know my dad's devastated by it. And she was my little brother's mother. So I'm going to let her go. She made my life hell, and she hated me, but I'm going to let her go. But she wanted me to go to that state hospital. My mother said, absolutely not. You're not taking my fucking kid there. Absolutely not. And if you want to know what happens next, y'all know the routine. Be here next time, and I will too. Don't know if it'll be tomorrow. It might not be. I'll try. I'm going to try. Look, I'm going to try 5 days a week, y'all. And I'll do the best I can. It depends on the day on how I'm feeling with my health. So I love you all. I love you all for watching, and I love you for the comments. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.